first and foremost, we're going to say all praises be to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Gagadash. And then we're going to say the double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, right? And shalom to the sincere elect to this truth and faith and sincerity. You know, just a quick, you know, in a transit, you know, like as we make our way down to, you know, do the work, you know, this week. And you know, the title is, man, Esau is a bloody hypocrite. You know, and it's really, you know, as Jake did with rap, it's double entendre. You know what I mean? It is, because, you know, in British slang, you know, when you say someone's a bloody anything, has emphasis.
Yeah, it's like effort.
Yeah, it's like saying someone's a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
And bloody, because Esau's truly a bloody man. You know, he's truly a bloody man. He does nothing but bring violence and death and destruction in the planet. And then when it's called out, he's just like, he's like, you know, you know, like as that saying goes, like you throw stones and hide your hand. You know,
because it's what you've been reading some of the reporting on what Israel did to Iran just the other day. Right, on the one bit they try calling it preemptive, which people online, right, always just, you know, once again, like that statement is a manufacture of consent. Once again, preemptive. People online was like, bro, it wasn't preemptive, right? It was unprovoked.
Exactly.
Right, there's a difference. But by calling it preemptive, right, it makes Iran the aggressor. But these times Iran were just doing what it was they were doing, just like, you know, them man were just in their bed sleeping, hugging their kids, and before you know it, a missile's in their door. Right.
And then it's like, and then, you know, even with this whole conflict, as we know, even with the so-called Palestinians, it's like, it's always been, Israel has a right to defend itself. But then, what about the people that's been attacked? Well, people can't do the same, no? It's like, even with this Israel, like an Iran standpoint, bro, the narrative Esau pushes is that the Iran should just stand there and get destroyed. And then when it's called out or spoken about what they've done, and like, because Iran has like held their tongue. And even still, like, they've like they get violated and don't really do shit. You know, so Esau is just a hypocrite and just in nature. You know, like he calls Jake the most violent ones, a thug. When fucking Edomite culture is nothing but a thuggery, destructive culture. You know, like Jake is supposedly the face of murder and violence, but then, like, if you actually do a census of the amount of Jakes that died through so-called black on black violence and knife violence and all that shit, and just compare to what you did in fucking Afghanistan, and what you did in World War I, World War II, and what you're still doing, even in the whole Palestinian conflict.
But so Psalms 140:1. Deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man. Right, which imagine mischief in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war.
Like so you know, read that again.
Right, so deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man. Which imagine mischief in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war.
So the violent man, the wicked man, you know, we can also get Psalm 73. All they do is bring violence. Like their culture is violence, and guess what? In the spirit, that violence begun with Cain. You know, murderer, man. You know what I mean? He murdered his brother. And then
tried to play the victim.
And tried to play the victim. You know, I mean, am I my brother's a keeper? And then you know what I mean? And instead of and even when he got cursed out for the sacrifice, instead of taking accountability and trying to get mercy,
he killed his brother.
He killed his brother.
That's the spirit of Esau, man. It's like, here it is, you've done wrong.
Rationale.
Yeah, you've done wrong. But these times, so then and when you get called out for it, your solution is to kill the person that did the righteous. It's like, makes no sense.
Yeah.
Right? But this is an Edomite we're dealing with.
And that's the culture and society of Esau.
Yeah.
If you adopt any somewhat of a righteous moral principles, you really become a prey.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. On that psalm, you got more?
Yes. Yeah, that was it. It's Psalm 73 called for. I'll start from 3.
No, start from. I mean, is there anything at the top?
I'll read it from the top. Psalm 73 from the top. Truly, the Most High is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart.
Yeah, man, and ultimately, though we're currently at the bottom, ultimately the Lord is good to His people because through His Son, like His Son is the mercy of Israel. The Scripture also calls Him the consolation of Israel, man. You know, like He's our mercy.
Yep.
You know. Yeah.
But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked.
You know what? Can we read this in the NLT?
Okay.
Sure. You know, but yeah, man. You know, and ultimately, like, if you don't have the true understanding, you know, and you're just in this world, and you're just seeing Esau do good and wickedness do good. If you don't have the understanding, then you might have that envious mindset and try and be like Esau.
Yeah.
But being like Esau isn't the way to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, envy not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
So not even a little bit.
Yeah.
So not even like a little bit. Even remember, bro, a bit earlier we were talking about Edomite work culture.
Yep.
You know, and how like the workplace banter and how they want to be, and it's always faggot shit.
Yep. Yeah, they can't help it.
They can't help it, bro.
They can't help it. You know, they start talking about rods, and it's like, bro, is that all you man actually?
Bro, sometimes I'm at work in the office. I'm like, bro. I'm like, I say it and they think I'm joking. I'm bro. Sometimes I say, what kind of conversation do you guys have?
Yeah.
And they're all laughing. I'm like, bro, it's just like, I say, bro, I even, sometimes they'll be starting at, I said, bro, it's 5:30 in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
is this what you talk about? Like,
Yeah.
and they think I'm bantering with them.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
mate. Come on, mate.
You're just being a bit of a
killjoy. Through Psalm 73 in the NLT.
Yeah.
Truly the Most High is good to Israel, to those whose hearts are pure. But as for me, I almost lost my footing. My feet were slipping and I was almost gone. For I envied the proud when I saw them prosper despite their wickedness.
Yeah. So, you know, because it's like, you know, because why does wickedness like get praised?
Yeah.
Why does being wicked just mean you're great? Why is it that people can conquer multiple lands and nations, and when these nations complain about getting their shit back, it's like, you're just supposed to accept it? Like these times you're deporting the tribes when it was their land first.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's like, you know, when they do that fucking Edomite shit, they're like, well, you know, I mean, they're breaking the law. I'm like, bro, it's not your, first of all, it's their land.
Exactly.
You know? Go ahead.
Exactly. So it says, for I envy the proud when I saw them prosper despite their wickedness. They seem to live such painless lives.
Yeah, and that's Esau. Like, Esau's culture is blood.
Yeah.
From the beginning till now, to what's going to be his end, it's always been blood. It's always been blood. Like, even if we look at Rome, like just Caesar getting murdered, that like this getting murdered, that getting murdered, Alexander the Great, you know, obviously the Lord raised him up to conquer, but then after his death, his generals, they're all fighting among themselves. Like, you know, just the whole history of Esau is just blood.
Yeah.
You know, under the Persians, Haman was trying to get us exterminated.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just always that cycle.
That's it. Got precept real quick.
Yeah.
This is Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, it starts off with Babylon the Great in that verse when it says, "O thou most proud." But the most proud people as a nation is Esau, man. They're just the most proud. They're vile, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Their spirit ain't right, and the Lord ain't gonna have mercy on them. There's no way you can mangle the scriptures, vocabularists, all right, and all these characters. You can't engineer mercy for Esau. Why does he need mercy? Why are they the only people on the fucking earth that just believe they're entitled to mercy? Like mercy, like, and you fucking monkeys, you always want to be like, oh nah, but yeah, no, fuck that. Yeah. Fuck that. Why does Esau get mercy? Why does he? Why should he get mercy? You always want to say, you know, but the Gentiles. No, the Lord. No. Why should Esau get mercy? Why should he get mercy? Why is it cool for him to have a history of slaughtering everybody? Yeah. And when it's time for the mirror to just, it's not even like we manufacture lies like he does.
Exactly. Well, that's one of the things I was talking about earlier on, about how Esau has basically used his media system to make him the smart one, to make him the desired one, and make everyone else the enemy. You know, that's why he can be the last one, the last samurai, and stuff like that.
The last samurai, the first Egyptian.
Exactly.
You know. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like he's just everything. Like, why does he get mercy, man? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, the scripture says you shall have judgment
without mercy to them. They showed no mercy.
And Esau showed no mercy.
He showed no mercy, bro.
And you know what's been keep saying it? It's like this whole Gaza thing has been, you know, really a godsend, because it's helped show and helped prove everything that we've been saying, that this man hasn't changed. He's still the same devil. Because yes, he can, you know, masquerade and do, oh yeah, we're the most moral, but it's like, wait, you're the most moral, yet like you lot are just letting the wholesale slaughter of men, women, and children.
And you know what? It shows. You know what? Why the point you're making is good as well, is because it shows you, like a brother mentioned, like what happened to the tribes. Mm-hmm. Because we mention it up in history, and it's like, oh, you're you know, you're just, you know, nah, that's just, you're just exaggerating and all that shit. But we're seeing in recent history that people just been slaughtered, bro. Yeah. And it's so cool. Obviously, it's not that land. Jake's got there, but it's like you're just being forced. They've been just taking land. Like if you look at the map of what land, who had what land before, you're just seeing more of the land is just shrinking.
Yeah.
And then people just getting murdered, and then they have the propaganda around.
Yeah. These people
and use the scriptures to justify it.
Yeah.
But when we say according to scriptures, they're gonna go down. That's hate speech. Though.
Exactly.
Hypocrite.
These times, these people bombed 4 countries in one day, bro. In like 24 hours, they bombed 4 different countries.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, we're the hateful ones.
Yeah.
Bro, they sent precision guided missiles into man's apartment, man. Well, you sleep in the middle of the night, which is just shows you just what kind of devil it is that we're dealing with. No, what do you call it? Had to wait till 3:30 in the morning, right? Yeah, bro. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to Psalm 73 in the NLT. right? So it says, verse 4 says, they seem to live such painless lives. Their bodies are so healthy and strong. They don't have troubles like other people. They're not plagued with problems like everyone else.
Yeah, and especially like in comparison to Jake. Jake, you know, like Esau can
What's going on?
the phone's heating up.
Okay.
Yeah. Esau can you know, be involved in a lot of wickedness, a lot of evil. You know what I mean? Fucking Esau can eat fucking anything they want. You know what I mean? Yeah. Jake, especially because we're the people of the Most High, it's like Jake eat these, you know, certain unclean foods, and then and like and their body breaks down.
Yep.
Jake catching heart attacks and shit. You know what I mean? Because they're the people of the Most High,
right.
and these things affect us. Esau can be a mass murderer. You eat fucking whatever the fuck he want, do whatever the hell he does, sleep well, and get up and go for a jog. Just be good. Just be great.
Yeah, the thing is, like, that's right now. It's his time.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like right now he can do all of these things, can get away with it. Oh shit, what's going on there? Back at my family. Yeah. It's these times, like he's got what do you fuck that up? Slow. Yeah, right now it's his time to rule, right? So he can get away with all of these things, but
it's his blessing.
It's his blessing right now. And you're starting to see it happen slowly, right? This is Deuteronomy 30 and 7 months it loads up. Right, it says, and the Lord Yahweh will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Right? So right now, like, yeah, Jay, when we go, you know, do certain things or whatever, what have you, it sticks on us hard. But with these Edomites, you know, it just kind of, you know, it seems like they just keep getting away with stuff, right? Right, but this is the problem. That's why I read as well Ecclesiastes 8, right? Because it seems like they're getting away with it.
It seems like it's getting away with it. And guess what? It's going to touch in on that in Psalm 73.
Yeah. You know, the Lord is, you know, the angels just like keeping tabs, writing. Yeah. Like, think about all of the, because you read the books, right? About the stuff Esau has done. You read them and you're like, oh, okay, this, that, and the other. But he's so much more. Like, even certain stories like that you hear coming out of these war-torn places, then you actually hear like certain of the war crimes, like let's say certain of our personal, you know, not personal, but history from the countries wherein we were born, right? You know, the locals may tell it completely differently to what's in the history books. So the locals was like, yeah, but actually, nah, like 10 times more people than that.
Yeah, well, prime example is
Panama.
Yeah, that's it. Prime example is that, like, the locals of Panama, when the Panama invasion and everything was going on, they was like, bro, like, the death toll is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, they was fucking us up. Microwave guns, lasers, cutting cars in half and shit.
Yeah. Well, remember even us when we met the firefighter.
Oh yeah.
The firefighter. So you know, you had the Grenfell Tower in London that burnt down. The official tally said 73, but then we met like a firefighter.
He said it. Wait.
He was like, yo, it's bad. Right? You could see that he wanted to break down, crying.
And brothers had to console him.
Yeah.
Brothers had to console him, and even that whole event, those people saying like, bruv, it was like, you're saying it's 73, but there was rooms of like 40 people in one room.
Yeah, because it was Ramadan during that season.
And people died, like 40 people in one room.
Yeah.
People died, bruv.
Yeah, but then the official story is such. So I brought that up to say, so imagine what was really happening on them plantations.
Exactly.
You know, what
there's
was
a lot we don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot we don't know, but the heavens know. And the Lord is going to basically require that. Scripture says in Ecclesiastes, the Lord requires that which is past.
That which is past.
You know? So let me carry back on in Psalm 73 in the NLT. Right, so verse 5 again, right? It says, they don't have troubles like other people. They're not plagued with problems like everyone else. They wear pride like a jeweled necklace and clothe themselves with cruelty.
Yeah, pride like a jeweled necklace, because, you know, like if you wear a necklace, you know, it's obviously on show. It's to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're you know what I mean. And it's like with Esau, with his wickedness, with his pride, it's like he's comfortable in his wickedness, man.
Yeah, which is why, even once again on this topic, I was reading a BBC News article right on the subject, right, of Iran, and it was like, what's the worst case scenario? And one of the things that it says is America gets involved, right? And why is that a worst case? Because it basically means bloodshed galore, right? It means, because why? America will be like, look, man, you don't want to mess with us because we've got this military, right? And yeah, they do have that military, and that, that's probably one of the reasons why Iran is just tapping, right? Because they understand, right, that when this gets hot, people die, right? It says, verse 7 says, these fat cats have everything their hearts could ever wish.
Yeah, these fat cat, man. You know what I mean, bro? Like, these are the fat cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's like a fat, cats ain't supposed to be fat.
Yeah.
So when you see a fat cat, he's living large, he's comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, he just strolling around, no fear of nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a day called like Fat Cat Tuesday or whatever, but it's basically from the beginning of the year. Let's say it'll be like the 3rd or 4th day of the year. I forget exactly how long, but it's basically what like the fat cats will have made more than everyone else will in the whole year, basically, right? And so that's just how large they're living, man, right? But it says these fat cats have everything their hearts could ever wish for, right? Which is why you read Hypocrite, the 2nd chapter. It says that he cannot be satisfied, because it's like, here it is, he can get all of the carnal desires that he wants, but he still wants more and more, and more so, he doesn't want you to have anything.
Exactly.
It's like he can get all of the women he wants, right? He can get all of the cars he wants, go to anywhere in the world he wants, do whatever the hell he wants, but that's not enough for him. He wants you to have nothing yourself, right? And then he wants you as well. He wants to have you in slavery, man. It says they scoff and speak only evil. In their pride, they seek to crush others. Right. So as we're saying, they don't want you to have anything. They want you to suffer, man. So it says they boast against the very heavens, and their words struck throughout the earth.
Yeah, man. Which is their plans and agendas, man. Because they're in their rulership now. They can just spread it. They can spread their evil and wickedness throughout the planet, and have no fear of no judgment, no nothing. They're just good.
Yeah. That's it. It says, and so the people are dismayed and confused, drinking in all their words. What does the Most High know? They ask. Yeah, so that's like their secret councils, man. They do their spells, they do their witchcraft, their rituals, thinking that the Lord don't see them. It's like demon. Yeah. I do, maybe get out of the lane just to go there. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like they think through their secret councils, their secret meetings, that they're just hid from the Most High. They're just hid. They're good. Nobody sees them, and it's like, you fucking idiot. The scripture says, he that made the ear, can you not hear? He that made the eye, can you not see? And it's like, whether you're in your secret councils or whatever, bruv, nothing is going to escape you from the judgment to come. This is why, like he's going to go down, man. So, okay. Yep. So it says, verse 11 says, what does the Most High know? They ask. Does the Most High even know what's happening? Right? Look at these wicked people enjoying a life of ease while their riches multiply.
Yeah, and he's touched on what you're saying. The riches multiply. Like, bro, the wealth disparity in the planet is ridiculous. Yeah. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. There's enough on the planet for everyone to live in their, like, comfortably in their means. Obviously, in society, you're always gonna have the poor, you're gonna have the rich, but the wealth disparity, like, is ridiculous. Like what we always mention. People can chat smack about us, but guess what? We teach that all people on the planet are entitled to a land. You know?
Yeah.
But instead, fucking Esau doesn't like agree with that. And land offers you the ability to, you know, be self-sufficient and also to trade. You know, and it's like, remember when King Solomon ruled, all right? He you know, when his kingdom was established and everything, he did trade with the heathen.
Yep.
You know, they wasn't doing better than him or better than Israel, but they were still.
They were alright.
They was alright.
Whereas right now in Esau's world, you get people that are just destitute, man. Right. Once again, you get the whole thing in like Yemen. That's a war that no one ever talks about. That man just be there starved out. Right, just there getting starved out and stuff like that. But when that's been happening for years, right? Whereas it's not supposed to be that way, man. Right, but this is just the world that Esau creates and allows to continue happening, man. You get certain places in the world where they're piss poor. But Esau in his pride will call them what, shithole countries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He made them a shithole.
Exactly. He will destroy your land and be like, oh man, it's your country's like a shithole, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like these fucking Brits. You know, we chatting shit like, you know, I mean, why don't you go back to your country if you don't like it over here? Why do you think people don't like their countries?
Yeah, because you fucking ruined them.
Why are migrants here?
Yeah.
You think migrants are here because and it's like, you know, like, especially these fucking like white jakes, man. A lot of these white jakes, because a lot of them are just, especially in the UK, man, you see a lot of these dumb, boneheaded, scattered jake chatting shit.
Yeah.
Because it's really like, especially Gem. Obviously, you have largely a lot of Edomites here, of course. You also have a lot of jakes, man, a lot of white jakes, and they're like the worst to deal with. They're the worst to deal with because they're like they think they're Edomites and they're getting that fucking Edomite mindset where they jake it up, so they're more passionate. But if you don't fucking like it, why don't you go back to our country? Why the fuck? Why are migrants here? Why are people here?
You fucked up their land, man.
Yeah, what? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you've hoarded riches for yourself.
That's it.
You've created economic policies. Like, I always think about this. The price, I remember watching a documentary and it said the price of chocolate is set in London. Like, but wait there, shouldn't it be the man in Ghana and the Congo setting the price of chocolate? But no, it's because Esau will basically create these systems, right, where he of control. By the way, do you know what it's called? The Esau will create these systems of control where he basically ends up owning you and your people.
And bro, it's something I always say, yeah. If you had a AA meeting type situation, and you had one representative of all the nations except Esau sat in a circle and say, you know, can you tell a story of when your people was fucked over by Esau? Every nation gonna say, hi, you know what I mean, I'm Ham, I'm 26, you know what I mean, I'm from Essex, and you know, this how Esau fucked up my people. Hi, I'm a Moab, I'm 32 and single, and and this is the story of how Esau fucked up my people.
That's it.
You know, hi, I'm Elam, you know, 19, and I just wanted to say it is how, like even the, you know, like,
you know them ones like, here's a dope, show us what you touched.
yeah, exactly, yeah, basically, yeah, and it's like, even like with like, I don't know, like China is a great example. The Opium Wars.
Yep.
Like the Opium Wars, you know, is interesting because as equally as the Chinese were being fucked over because of the opium, is as easy as how the Indians were being put in slavery to farm that shit. you know what I mean? It's like, it's just hell. It was hell on both sides.
Yeah.
There was a lot of famines and shit.
Yep.
And even with the Chinese Opium Wars, the Brits were just hating on the Chinese, because at that time they was like very wealthy.
Yeah.
Like it was like, you know, the 1700s, more so the 1800s as well. They were doing good, doing really good. You know, they was doing extremely good. Yeah, they was doing extremely good. And basically, in that time, they was like doing a lot of export and trade, and within their export and trade, they would require everything in silver. You know what I mean? They would like require everything in silver, and the Brits couldn't handle that because they started just going broke.
Yeah. So Esau did what Esau does. He subverted.
Yeah. He basically subverted, and basically the Brits would import a lot of tea, and when they'd import tea, they would ask the Brits to pay for their tea in silver. So the Brits were going broke. You know what I mean? Like the Brits were going broke, and the Chinese were kept waxing rich. So you know what they said? You know what? Let's find something that they'll trade with us with. And there's nothing they bought the Chinese didn't care for, like, or want. They're like, look, man, there's nothing you got that I want. I don't want anything. So you know what they did? They did a covert fucking exercise.
Yep.
To just get their people hooked on drugs.
Yep.
And then it got so bad that certain towns officials and stuff would have to like pour out fucking opium into the fucking oceans, man. Wow. And into the streams and valleys and stuff. You know what I mean? And then basically they would like literally beg them. You know what I mean? They would literally beg them, like to say like, you know, stop, man.
Yeah, but that's Esau for you, man. He doesn't play fair.
Don't play fair.
But God, this is Psalm 55. I must read from 20. It says, he hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
Yeah.
He hath broken his covenant.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, he's done that especially with the tribes.
The tribes, yeah. But as the example that the brother was just given, right, it's just proof that it don't matter. Oh, that's a scripture. If you have need of thee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What? Even that. You know, it's a good example of that. That like during the late 1800s, like a lot of the railways and trains was funded by the Chinese.
Right.
And during as equally as the opium wars was going on, first it was the Brits that was bringing it in, and then later the white Americans subverted that too and was illegally bringing it in too.
So you're telling me that white people bring drugs into a neighborhood?
Yeah, exactly. And guess what? The face of drug use and people who sell is Jake.
Yeah. But here it is. There is because I was saying the contra. I forget I know there was a CIA plane crash and it was just bare cocaine on it. Yeah. You know, but that's the way this man plays. He doesn't play fair, right? And he will use and subvert, right, to his what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, to the point where he basically uses you. I mean, he gets one over you. Right, goes on to say, verse 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Yeah, were they drawn swords, man.
Yeah, so it will come with what seems like a nice deal, right? But when you really look into it, right, he's basically taking you over, man.
Yeah.
Right? Other plans. There it is once again. You'll be thinking, oh yeah, you know, he's giving us a little something, but then he's subverting your entire people. That's
your entire people, man.
That's why to this day, certain of them Asian nations, yo, you go death penalty.
Yeah.
You bring drugs, death penalty, man. It's funny coke.
Yeah.
You know, because that's it. Esau brought that cocaine right into these different places and ruined them.
It ruins the people.
Yeah. You know, and that's why even to this day, right, one of the things that they don't want is Esau's media, because that's a subversion that's like goes heavy, right? Because that will be, you know, you'll be getting subverted without even understanding you're being subverted. That's just the strength of that witchcraft, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's through the spirit that we're able to now identify as like, yo, that was some straight up witchcraft that they were showing us over there, man.
Yeah.
Right. So Esau's got a lot to pay for. Right? He's got a lot to pay for, and in these last days, man, the Lord is gonna, you know, keep exposing him.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's one of the beautiful things.
He's just being exposed.
He's being exposed.
Like now, the whole world knows. Like the face of hypocrisy is Esau.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to talk about a nation being a hypocrite, it's Esau.
Yeah.
You know, it's all Esau, man. Everyone knows it's Esau.
Yeah.
And he just can't hide himself, man.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Okay.
So, yeah, back in Psalm 73 in the NLT from verse 12 now. It says, look at these wicked people, enjoying a life of ease whilst their riches multiply. Did I keep my heart pure for nothing? Did I keep myself innocent for no reason? Right? Which, you know, you know, that's why you get certain people that end up selling out, because they, you know, they see E doing good, right? And then they're just, you know, they ain't got patience, right? And then they envy the way of the oppressor, right? They choose his ways, but then the end thereof is death. Okay? So it says, which, you know, we understand what it is we're fighting for. Right, we understand that actually, you know, when we're you know, in the world doing what we're doing, right, that having faith in the Most High and doing what we've got to do is ultimately the thing that's going to pay off. Going doing these shows, going out to camp, right, and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So it says, I get nothing but trouble all day long. Every morning brings me pain. Right? If I had really spoken this way to others, I would have been a traitor to your people. So I tried to understand why the wicked prosper, but what a difficult task it is.
Yeah.
Then I went into your sanctuary, O Most High, right?
Which is us coming into this faith.
And I finally understood the destiny of the wicked.
Yep, you finally see. It's like, without this truth, you won't be able to understand why things are how they are.
Exactly.
Right, go ahead.
Exactly. You know, and that's why, for instance, you get one, you know, which I know you've got, you spoke to people that have said this, you know, as well. It's like, you know, they'll be like, oh wait, so I can just do this wickedness, and then like I'm an Israel, and then I'm just they don't fully understand, you know.
Nigga actually told me.
Yeah.
I told him, like, if you take the mark of the beast, you're gonna be destroyed. And obviously, in a different conversation, I told him, so what, he was asking about, so what happens when you die? I said, well, Israelite, you're going to come back in the kingdom. And he said, well, if I'm going to come back anyway, why not just take the chick, die, and come back? I was like, I said, yeah, this.
Yep.
Right?
That's it. Right, it says,
yeah, we're going to finish up on this precept.
Yeah. It says, yeah, then I went into your sanctuary, O Most High, and I finally understood the destiny of the wicked. Truly, you put them on a slippery path and send them sliding over the cliff to destruction.
Yeah, because even though it seems like they're prospering, it seems like they're getting away with everything, ultimately, they ain't going to get away from nothing, and they're going to be judged. So really, it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. Really, his blessing is his curse.
So,
you know?
It says, in an instant they are destroyed, completely swept away by terrors.
And And that's what's going to happen to Esau, because it's going to be like in a day where his kingdom just goes down.
That's it. It says, when you arrive, you will laugh at their silly ideas as a person laughs at dreams in the morning.
That's it. And you know what? We're going to bring out the scripture at the camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, man, we just wanted to go into a topic before camp.
Yeah.
You know? And then we're going to continue anyway. So with that, we're going to say, all praise be to Yahweh,
Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kavadash.
The bonus to the apostles and elders that make most down to this time. We're going to say, Shalom.